Medical Commander Zilax stared at the 5 unconscious Catharian cadets lined up in critical care pods, their massive frames hooked to life support systems that beeped in urgent synchronization. All 5 had been admitted within a 30-second window. All 5 bore injuries that suggested they'd been hit by heavy machinery, and all 5 had been put in this condition by a single human cadet in exactly 10.3 seconds. The security footage made no sense. The laws of physics as Zilax understood them simply didn't allow for what he was watching. And the human responsible was currently in the waiting room, asking the receptionist if the cafeteria was still open. "Commander, you need to see this again." Security Chief Kael'thas rewound the footage for the 7th time, his manipulator appendages trembling slightly. According to YouTube analytics, 99.6% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. Watch the human's bone structure during impact. There should be fractures, multiple fractures. His skeletal system should have shattered. Zilax leaned closer to the display. The human, Marcus Johnson, 22 Earth years, engineering student, worked part-time as something called a bouncer back on Earth. Moved through the 5 Catharians like they were made of synthetic foam. Each impact registered forces that would crumple a shuttle door. The human's medical scan showed 0 injuries, not even an elevated heart rate. The Catharians initiated contact, Kael'thas continued, pulling up a wider angle. Subject Marcus was carrying his lunch tray. The Catharians, he highlighted 5 figures, each nearly twice the human's mass, surrounded him near the classroom entrance. Physical contact initiated at timestamp 13:42:70. The largest one, Korvax, shoved the human's shoulder. The lunch tray fell. Then the human moved, Zilax finished quietly. The footage showed Marcus Johnson's expression shift from surprise to annoyance. His hands came up, not in a combat stance, nothing that would trigger the Academy's automated defense systems, and he simply pushed back. Korvax flew backward 3 meters and hit the wall hard enough to crack the reinforced polymer. The second Catharian, Ginix, swung a fist. Marcus tilted his head slightly. The fist missed by millimeters and tapped Ginix's extended arm. The Catharian's elbow bent backward with an audible crack that made Zilax wince even watching the replay. The remaining 3 rushed simultaneously. Marcus sidestepped, and somehow all 3 Catharians ended up on the ground with various limbs at wrong angles. Total elapsed time, 10.3 seconds. Has anyone actually talked to the human? Chief Medical Officer Azila entered the observation room, her data pad displaying injury reports that made increasingly less sense the more she read them. Because his medical file says he's completely baseline. No genetic modifications, no cybernetic enhancements, no combat neurological conditioning. He's a civilian who took some self-defense classes and broke up bar fights for supplemental income. He's in the waiting room, Zilax said, asking about food. Of course he is. Azila pulled up Marcus's psychological profile. Stress responses indicate genuine confusion about why this is considered serious. He keeps asking if the other students are okay and if someone can reimburse him for his mother's lasagna that got spilled. Kael'thas made a sound that might have been a laugh or a cry for help. His mother's lasagna. 5 trained Catharian warriors are in intensive care, and he's upset about lasagna. "I'm calling Director Vex Thule," Zilax said, reaching for the emergency communication panel. "This is beyond medical or security scope. We have a diplomatic incident, possibly a galactic security crisis, and we need to figure out what to do before—" The door opened. Marcus Johnson walked in, escorted by 2 very nervous security officers who were maintaining a 3-meter distance. The human looked tired and slightly annoyed, wearing the standard Academy jumpsuit that somehow seemed inadequate for containing whatever he was. "Hey, so, I've been waiting for like 40 minutes, Marcus said, his tone conversational, and carrying that distinct Earth accent that always sounded like the speaker was halfway to laughing or complaining. "Are those guys okay?" I didn't mean to push so hard, but they were being really aggressive and I just wanted to eat my lunch before advanced propulsion theory. Zilak stared. The human was genuinely concerned. Not defensive, not aggressive, concerned. Marcus Johnson, Zilax began carefully. Do you understand the severity of the injuries you inflicted? Marcus's expression shifted to something that looked like guilt. I mean, yeah, I saw them hit the walls pretty hard. That's why I called medical right away. I know I should have just walked away. But they knocked my food everywhere and then the big guy tried to grab me and I just... He made a small pushing gesture. Moved them out of the way. Moved them, Kael'thas repeated flatly. You moved 5 Catharians, each massing approximately 140 kilograms out of your way, in 10 seconds. Was it 10 seconds? Marcus looked surprised. Felt faster. Look, I wasn't trying to hurt anyone. I've bounced at Riley's bar back in Chicago for 3 years. You learn pretty quick how to break up fights without anyone getting seriously injured. These guys were just bigger than usual, so I had to adjust a bit. Azila stepped forward, her scanner already active. Marcus, I need to ask you something very important. Have you ever been tested for enhanced physiological capabilities, genetic modification, any kind of augmentation? What? No, I mean, I had an appendectomy when I was 12 and I broke my arm skateboarding when I was 15, but that's it. Marcus looked between the 3 officers, confusion deepening. Why would I need enhancement? I'm just a regular guy. Regular, Zilax said slowly. Marcus, do you have any idea what force calculations we're seeing in the security footage? Your impacts registered at levels that would require industrial machinery. Your bone structure should have been pulverized. You moved at speeds that should require cybernetic neural enhancement. Marcus blinked. I mean, I work out? 3 times a week, mostly cardio and some weights? Nothing crazy. My little sister benches more than I do and she's on her high school volleyball team. The 3 officers exchanged looks that communicated the same thought. His younger sister is stronger than this? Director Vexthul arrived 15 minutes later, accompanied by 3 members of the Galactic Combat Authority and a xenobiologist who specialized in warrior species classification. They'd converted Conference Room 7 into an emergency command center, with the security footage playing on loop on the main display. Marcus sat in a chair that had been hastily reinforced, drinking something the cafeteria had synthesized that apparently approximated Earth coffee. He looked more bored than concerned. Marcus Johnson, Vexthul began, his 4 eyes focusing with an intensity that made most cadets confess to things they hadn't even done. We need to understand exactly what happened in that corridor. Sure, Marcus said agreeably. I was heading to class. I had lunch. My mom sent me her lasagna recipe and I finally got the cafeteria to make it right. And these 5 Catharian guys surrounded me. They've been giving me crap for like 2 weeks now, calling me soft skin and weak mammal and whatever. I mostly just ignored it because, you know, Academy policy says to report bullying to administration and let you guys handle it. But today was different, Kael'thas prompted. Today they got physical. The biggest one, Core something, shoved my shoulder pretty hard. My lunch went everywhere. 3 days I waited for that lasagna. 3 days. Marcus's expression showed more emotion about the food than the fight. Then he tried to grab me, and his buddies were closing in, and I just reacted, pushed them back, made space, got out of the situation. Standard de-escalation, like I learned at the bar. One of the combat authority officers, a Vexian named Rahil, leaned forward. Marcus, I've reviewed your standard de-escalation. You struck Korvax with enough force to crack a reinforced wall. You hyperextended Genix's elbow in 3 places. The other 3 sustained compound fractures, severe concussions, and internal hemorrhaging. This is not de-escalation. This is combat efficiency that would make our special forces envious. Marcus looked genuinely distressed. I didn't want to hurt them that bad. I was holding back. I just wanted them to stop so I could... He hesitated, seeming to realize how it sounded, so I could pick up my food and get to class. Holding back, Vexthul repeated. You were holding back. Well, yeah. If I'd actually hit them, they'd be... Marcus stopped, noticing everyone's expressions. Oh no, are they going to be okay? Seriously, I thought I was being gentle. The xenobiologist, an elderly Shren named Dr. Zilar, pulled up a holographic display of human skeletal structure next to Catharian anatomy. Marcus, I need you to understand something. Catharians evolved on a high-gravity world. Their bone density is approximately 3 times that of most spacefaring species. They're classified as Category 1 warrior species, suitable for frontline military combat without augmentation. You, according to our database, are from a species classified as Category 3, non-combat, suitable primarily for technical and diplomatic roles. Marcus frowned at the display. That seems kind of racist, like, humans can fight. We've had wars and stuff. Yes, but your preliminary scans indicated Dr. Zylar pulled up the original human assessment data. Average bone density, standard muscle composition, unremarkable neural processing speeds, nothing that would suggest combat capability beyond basic self-defense. Can I see those scans? Marcus asked. Dr. Zylar transferred them to a smaller display. Marcus studied them for about 30 seconds. Yeah, these are wrong, like really wrong. My bone density is actually pretty average for humans, maybe slightly below because I don't do much heavy lifting. And the muscle composition data is weird. Did you scan me while I was relaxed? Because human muscles work differently when we're not using them. What do you mean, differently? Azila asked, her medical curiosity overriding her alarm. Like, we can kinda turn them off to conserve energy? I don't know the science exactly, but there's this thing called muscle tension, and we can go from basically soft to really hard really fast. It's why we can do stuff like throw things accurately or punch through materials if we need to. Our whole musculoskeletal system is designed for rapid energy deployment. Dr. Selar was frantically taking notes. Rapid energy deployment. Marcus, what gravity did you evolve under? Earth standard? I don't know the galactic units, but it's whatever makes stuff fall at 9.8 meters per second squared. The xenobiologist went very still. That's 1.3 times galactic standard gravity. You evolved under high gravity conditions. I guess? It's just normal to us. And your atmospheric pressure? Marcus shrugged. Whatever Earth has? Like I said, it's just normal. Dr. Zyler pulled up Earth's atmospheric data and made a sound like escaping gas. 1.4 times galactic standard, higher oxygen content. Marcus, your species evolved in conditions that most of the galaxy would consider a hostile environment. Your normal is what we'd classify as a death world. Death world? Marcus looked offended. Earth's beautiful. We've got oceans and forests and mountains. Sure, there are some dangerous animals, but you just avoid them, or, he paused, or you defend yourself if they attack. What animals? Kael'thas asked with growing dread. Oh, you know, bears, sharks, crocodiles, hippos, big cats, venomous snakes, spiders, jellyfish, those fish with teeth, angry birds, aggressive moose. Marcus was counting on his fingers. Oh, and other humans when they're really mad. Humans are actually the most dangerous thing on Earth, if we're being honest. The room had gone silent except for the soft beeping of medical equipment from the other room. Vexthul spoke carefully. Marcus, are you telling me that your species evolved to survive on a high-gravity, high-pressure world filled with megafauna predators, and you developed the capability to defend yourselves against these threats as a baseline survival trait? I mean, when you put it that way, it sounds dramatic, Marcus said with a slight laugh. But yeah, basically, humans are persistence hunters. We evolved to chase down prey for hours until it collapsed from exhaustion, then kill it with tools or our hands. We're designed to not quit, and we had to be tough enough to survive falls, fights with prey, attacks from predators, and conflicts with other human tribes. It's just how we developed. Just how you developed, Azila repeated faintly. Your baseline survival requirements created a species with physical capabilities that exceed our warrior breeds. I wouldn't say exceed. Marcus, Arhill interrupted. I've trained for 15 years in Catharian combat techniques. I've studied every major warrior species in the galaxy. What you did in that corridor would take our best soldiers months of specialized training to accomplish, and they'd need combat stims to achieve your speed. You did it while primarily concerned about salvaging your lunch. Marcus looked uncomfortable. Look, I really am sorry they got hurt so bad. I honestly thought I was being careful. When you bounce, you learn to grab the aggressive drunk, move him away from whoever he's targeting, and make sure he doesn't hit his head too hard when he goes down. These guys were just bigger and grabbier than usual bar drunks. They weren't drunk, Kael'thas said. They were fully alert, trained academy cadets who've been studying combat for 3 years. Oh, Marcus absorbed this. Well, they probably shouldn't pick fights then. That's like rule 1 of bar bouncing. Don't start fights you can't finish. Vexthul made a decision. Marcus, you're not in trouble for defending yourself. The security footage clearly shows the Catharians initiated assault. However, we need to completely reassess our safety protocols. As of now, you're confined to quarters until we can establish appropriate guidelines for human physical interaction with other species. Can I at least go to classes remotely? Marcus asked.
I've got a project due in 2 days, and I need access to the engineering lab equipment. Remote attendance is acceptable, but Marcus... Vexthul's tone became grave. Do you understand that you're the first human to attend a galactic military academy? Your actions here will shape how the galaxy views your entire species. We need to ensure nothing like this happens again. I get it, Marcus said quietly. I'll be more careful.
And hey, maybe you guys should, have a talk with students about not bullying people? Because this whole thing started because they kept calling me names and messing with my stuff. After Marcus left, escorted by guards who now understood they were there to protect others from him rather than protecting him from others, the command staff sat in stunned silence. Dr. Zelar finally spoke.
I need to completely revise the human assessment. Everything we thought we knew about their capabilities was based on scans taken while they were in a relaxed state. We didn't account for their rapid deployment musculature, their reinforced skeletal structure adapted to high gravity, or their neurological processing that allows for split-second combat calculations. He said his younger sister was stronger, Azila added quietly. His younger sister. On his homeworld, there are 8 billion of them, 8 billion beings with these capabilities. Most of whom have never received formal combat training, Arhill added, pulling up his own notes. Military service isn't mandatory on Earth. Marcus learned his skills working part-time at a drinking establishment. This is what humans develop casually, in civilian contexts, just to handle social conflicts. Vexthul stood, his expression showing the weight of realization. I need to contact the Galactic Council immediately. Earth's application for membership needs to be accelerated, and not for the reasons we originally assumed. What do you mean? Kael'thas asked. We thought we were admitting a species with interesting technology and potential diplomatic value. We were being generous, allowing these soft mammals into our coalition. Vexthul pulled up the security footage one more time, watching Marcus Johnson casually disable 5 trained warriors while primarily worried about his spilled lunch. We weren't being generous. We were accidentally making the smartest strategic decision in galactic history. Because if we hadn't befriended the humans, if we dismissed or antagonized them, we might have eventually faced a species of 8 billion apex predators who evolved to persistence hunt megafauna on a death world and consider that normal. 3 days later, Marcus was cleared to return to regular activities after completing what the Academy hastily created and called Human Strength Awareness Training.
He'd sat through 6 hours of videos explaining that most species couldn't survive falls that humans walked away from, couldn't endure impacts that humans shrugged off, and couldn't generate the forces that humans produced casually. The 5 Catharian cadets recovered. They faced disciplinary action for assault and bullying, and were required to issue formal apologies. Korvax approached Marcus in the cafeteria on his first day back, moving carefully and with obvious nervousness. "Johnson," he said, his translator rendering his tone as respectful, "I owe you an apology. My actions were dishonorable. I allowed prejudice to cloud my judgment. You are clearly a warrior, and I failed to recognize this." Marcus looked up from his lunch, lasagna again, this time in a reinforced container that could probably survive a hull breach, and shrugged. "Hey man, we're cool. Just maybe don't shove people next time, and definitely don't mess with someone's lunch. Food is sacred." Korvax's expression showed confusion. "You don't wish to challenge me to combat for the insult, to establish dominance." "What? No, you apologized." "We're good. Want to sit down?" "I can tell you about Earth if you're interested. We've got some really cool stuff. Ever heard of pizza?" The Catharian sat still wary but curious. Within 20 minutes, Marcus was enthusiastically describing Earth cuisine, showing pictures of his family's restaurant back in Chicago, and explaining the complex rules of something called baseball. Korvax found himself relaxing despite every instinct screaming that he was sitting next to an apex predator who'd casually hospitalized him and 4 others. But that was the thing about humans. Korvax was beginning to understand. They were dangerous, yes, incredibly dangerous. But they were also friendly, quick to forgive, and genuinely interested in connecting with others. It was a combination that was either brilliant evolution or cosmic irony. Probably both. In the Galactic Council chambers, 70 light-years away, Earth's application for full membership was being fast-tracked through committees that normally took decades to process requests. The debate wasn't about whether humans belonged in the galactic community. The Council had just realized that humans had always been coming, and the only choice was whether they arrived as friends or as something far more concerning. Ambassador Talana from the Vexian Protectorate addressed the assembly. "We've reviewed the incident at the Academy. One human civilian, with no formal military training, defeated 5 Category 1 warriors in 10 seconds while exhibiting significant restraint. Medical analysis confirms he was actively trying not to cause permanent harm. Combat efficiency specialists estimate that a fully trained human soldier would be approximately..." She paused, checking her notes, 15 times more effective in combat situations. The chamber erupted in overlapping translations and concerned vocalizations. "Furthermore," Talana continued, "Earth has a standing military force of approximately 30 million trained personnel, with rapid mobilization capability for hundreds of millions more. Their weapons technology, while less advanced than ours in some areas, is specifically designed around their enhanced physical capabilities and aggression management." "Are you suggesting they're a threat?" demanded Council Member Jotaro. "I'm suggesting they're the most significant strategic asset or threat the galaxy has encountered in 3,000 years, and we get to choose which one they become." Talana displayed the security footage of Marcus Johnson protecting his lunch. "This is them being friendly. I strongly recommend we keep it that way." The vote for Earth's full membership was unanimous, completed in record time. The official documentation cited Earth's technological innovation, cultural diversity, and potential for meaningful diplomatic contribution. The classified appendix to that documentation contained a single line: "Strategic imperative. Maintain positive relations with species capable of casualizing combat advantages of all known warrior breeds." Marcus Johnson never saw any of this documentation. He'd moved on to worrying about his quantum mechanics midterm and whether the cafeteria could figure out how to make proper Chicago-style deep dish pizza. His mom had promised to send care packages, but interstellar shipping was expensive and unreliable. He did notice that other cadets gave him more space in the corridors now and that the bullying had completely stopped across the entire academy, not just for him, but for everyone. Apparently, his 10-second intervention had inspired a campus-wide reevaluation of harassment policies. He considered that a nice side effect of an otherwise frustrating situation that had ruined perfectly good lasagna. On Thursday, Marcus sent a message home. "Hey Mom, school's going well. Made some friends, aced my propulsion theory exam, and the cafeteria learned how to make your lasagna recipe. Everything's pretty normal. Miss you. Tell Sarah good luck at her volleyball tournament." Normal, he'd said. The word would become something of a running joke in galactic military circles for the next century, usually delivered with a combination of respect and existential dread. Because if this was what humans considered normal, the galaxy was very fortunate indeed that they'd chosen to be friends.